It's time for novelty, baby. We're going out there and talking about teams in the NHL and their prospect pools. Big shout out over onto Twitter. Byron Bader has his model that he tweets about once in a while, and these lists always find themselves on my Twitter feed occasionally, and it's always a joy to read. It's interesting to see whom his model places highly, whom the models place lower, and Byron Bader does a pretty good job at keeping us all entertained with prospect-related content throughout the offseason, which is what he did earlier this week when he published a list of NHL team prospect pools post-2023 draft. Now, this list was posted over a week ago, but what I wanted to do was make a few videos just kind of regarding who is placed in which position, which players on these prospect pools stand out, and I think this is a really good opportunity to get some diversified hockey prospect discussion on the channel. So, without further ado, shoutouts out of the way, let's go over onto Byron Bader's list of NHL team prospect pool strength rankings and talk about the top 5 teams. Now, the good thing about this Twitter thread is that Bader goes out there and replies to every single team, and he analyzes them quickly in a pretty beefy tweet, which makes my job a lot easier when it comes to collecting conversation points. So 100% of the work here is being done by Bader. He did the graphic, he did the tweets. I'm just going out there and reading it because I think it's going to be interesting to talk about. Let's talk about the 5 best teams in the NHL when it comes to their prospect pool strength. Not talking about goalies, only talking about skaters. Starting out with number 5 on the list, it is the Buffalo Sabres. When it comes to their rankings amongst NHL teams for players who have top 5 star potential, they've got the 6th best. When it comes to NHL equivalency scores, the Buffalo Sabres prospects are the 2nd best in the league. This is the analysis that Bader provides for the Sabres, their top 5 skater prospects. You've got Zach Benson, Owen Power, Matthew Savoie, Jack Quinn, and J.J. Peterka. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of these guys are not necessarily prospects, quote-unquote. They have played an extended amount of time in the NHL, but for the sake of talking about young guys, I guess this is an okay way to introduce it. The Sabres officially have a top 5 prospect pool. Good top 5 with star potential, good depth. The goalie problems could be saved if Levi is as good as the eye test suggests. This is probably as high as the Sabres pool makes it in these rankings before they start to become a winning team and their best prospects become full-time NHL players. And yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment. I'd say that Owen Power is on his way to becoming a mainstay, just absolute behemoth of a guy. Zach Benson, we've talked about him already. I think he's a very good prospect. Then you have his teammate in the WHL, Matthew Savoie. Jack Quinn really came into his own over the past few years, and then J.J. Peterka is right in his coattails. Pretty good group of top young guys to have, if I do say so myself. Heading over onto the 4th best prospect pool in the NHL, according to Byron Bader, it is the Anaheim Ducks. Now, their NHL equivalency scores for their prospects actually ranked 8th overall, which is a lot lower than the Buffalo Sabres, but where the Anaheim Ducks prospects come to play is with their depth. This is what Byron Bader writes. Their top 5 skater prospects include Leo Carlsson, Olen Zellweger, Pavel Mintyukov, Mason McTavish, and Sasha Pastujov. A dynamite pool with tons of pieces even after Drysdale and Zegras are not included anymore. Passing on Fantilli could prove costly, although Leo Carlsson is no slouch. In 2020 and 2021, Anaheim was firing on all cylinders on the draft floor, taking high-value prospect after high-value prospect. They've gone away from that since Pat Verbeek took over. The pool is still excellent, but they could have been top 3. And this is where you start to see where that talent comes to play, because as we had talked about over the past few weeks here, the Anaheim Ducks defensive prospects are just incredible. You literally have the 3 defenders of the year in each of the different CHL leagues, Pavel Mintyukov, Tristan Luneau, and Olen Zellweger all being Ducks prospects. They were producing points, they were doing really well, and it just really boded very good things for this Anaheim Ducks prospect pool. Add on McTavish, Leo Carlsson, Sasha Pastujov there too, and you've got good potential into the future. Speaking about potential, though, let's talk about the guys on the 3rd ranked prospect pool, the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, their NHL equivalency score for their players is ranked 4th overall, but on the holistic list of prospect strength, they're ranked 3rd. This is what Byron Bader writes about Philly. Their top 5 skaters include Matvei Michkov, Cam York, Cutter Gauthier, Bobby Brink, and Emil Andre. A heavy rise from the Flyers after the 2023 draft, where they jumped up 7 spots from their previous ranking. Matvei Michkov, who has a star probability in Byron Bader's model of 99%, was the big reason for the jump. He adds substantially to their top 5 skater ranking. They also have the number 2 ranked goalie system in the NHL. Philly has done well at dipping into the Russian market for goalies as of late. Philly's pool needs to add a bit more depth and potential NHL pieces and one more high-probability star piece. They'll finish low again this year, so they should be able to add that piece in 2024. And of course, when it comes to Matvei Michkov, this guy broke all the models that every prospect analyst had when it came to points and projection, because he went out there and outscored Ovechkin. He did a very good job, so there's a reason why Matvei Michkov is responsible for such a high rise in prospect pool analysis, and for Philadelphia, bringing them all the way up to 3rd overall. It's definitely no slouch of a pick. When you talk about the other guys they have, I've always been a believer in Cam York, even though he's had his ups and downs. Cutter Gauthier is a guy whom we've been seeing a lot better things out of the past few years. And as things go along, I mean, we already talked about this when Michkov was drafted. If you have Michkov, Frost, and Cutter Gauthier on a line, that could be just the 3-headed monster of offensive potency. You've got the playmaking, the skills in Frost, you've got the goal scoring of Michkov, and the power forward-like tools that Cutter Gauthier has while also being a goal scorer himself. It's very diversified and spells very good things for the Philadelphia Flyers and their future. Heading over onto the second best prospect pool in the NHL, it's the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the star ranking of their prospects is at 11, but when it comes to their NHL equivalency score, they're number 1. What this means is that the Canadiens may not have guys in their system that are going to become the best, but when it comes to just the amount of players they have that are probably going to make the NHL, Montreal is right up there, and they're the second best prospect pool as a result. Bader says their top 5 skaters are Reinbacher, Slafkovsky, Guhle, Hutson, and Barron. This is what I mean about how some of these prospects technically don't count as rookies anymore, but for the sake of conversing about young guys being young guys and who haven't become full-time NHL players yet, saying Slafkovsky is a prospect, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. They're an excellent pool with nearly 30 potential NHL pieces in it. Few teams have that high of an arsenal of high-caliber pieces in their system. However, Byron Bader does say that the Montreal Canadiens are 1 high-potential star or superstar piece or 2, Matvei Michkov would have done it, a solid goalie prospect away, and a few decent center prospects from being perfect. The Habs almost have what Byron Bader would describe as the perfect prospect pool. And not getting a guy like Matvei Michkov ended up putting them in this spot. Now, we've done the song and dance about Reinbacher. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the days go on, but for right now, their prospect pool is ranked 2nd in the NHL, and I think that's pretty okay, considering the fact that a lot of Canadiens fans are pissed off about the picks they've made anyway. Now, moving on to the top prospect pool in the National Hockey League, it is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Their top 5 star ranking is 2nd overall, and their NHL equivalency score ranking is number 5. This is what Byron Bader says. Their top 5 skaters are Adam Fantilli, David Jiricek, Denton Matejchuk, Kirill Marchenko, and Kent Johnson. The Blue Jackets pool stays at number 1. Their pool is loaded all over. Center prospects in Fantilli and Johnson, wing prospects Marchenko, Gavin Brindley, Jordan Dumais, and defense prospects like Jiricek and Matejchuk. Their top 5 is loaded with top-tier caliber high-star potential pieces. They have so many good pieces that gems like Brindley and Dumais don't even make the cut into their top 5. Then you have yourselves Tarasov, who presents himself as a quality goalie prospect as well, with strong NHL likelihood. Bader ends off the thread by saying the prospect drafting part of the rebuild is by large and complete. Now it's time to get out of the basement. Gaudreau, Fantilli, and Line A. That could be a real good line in short order. So, big shout out once again to Byron Bader. We've been saying his name the entire video because he's the guy who made this Twitter thread. But these are the teams with the top 5 prospect pools in the NHL. The Blue Jackets, the Canadiens, the Flyers, the Ducks, and the Sabres. The rest of the teams are all listed on the list, and then we could also make a video about the worst ones. I also want to do that as well. So wait a few days for that video to be released. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you're a Sabres, a Ducks, a Flyers, a Canadiens, or a Blue Jackets fan, what are your thoughts on your prospects? What are your thoughts on the way Bader evaluated them here? What are your thoughts on the names that were included, and how well do you think your team is going to develop these names? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this British Trolls 99, and Bye.